Okay, so this is my final video outside for Kung Fu Havoc #2 and Instagram. Alright, so your kamas. They are weapons of legend just like every damn thing else. And your kamas are basically garden tools. They're like the digging shit, but they're also basically axes. So it's kind of a combination of your sickle and your axe. Alright? It has a sickle hook and an axe sharpness, because you don't have like a need for an axe to cut down bamboo when the kama would do. Alright? Remember that saying. I don't need an axe to cut bamboo because the kama will do. Alright? So the kamas, I'm going to say, traditionally are more for ninjutsu, but they also, like the side, which was garden hole pokers, originally they were used in China instead of Japan. Let's make sure everybody knows that. The kamas are actually from China, not Japan. You guys can fight me on that if you want, but ninjutsu actually began in China. Again, you can fight me on that if you want, but you know, hey, there's Google, and you can go fact check that, or you can go ask another martial artist their personal opinion. Basically, Japanese ninjutsu is basically a hyped up version of Chinese ninjutsu. Alright? So just so that you guys know, Japan just hyped it up. Same thing with like crane karate. It's the same thing as Chinese crane kung fu. They just changed a little bit here and there, added some spice, put some stank on it, and you have it. Now the kamas, not these ones, because these are wooden, they're basically short, close-quartered weapons. Now why are they close quarters? Look at how small they are. They are not long-range weapons. You won't be throwing these like you would throw an axe, but that's because they're not designed to stick into anything outside of flesh. In other words, human flesh. But an axe, that goes every which way you want. It can stick into trees, it can stick into human flesh. It's all just a matter of your direction and where you're sending that son of a bitch. But for the kamas, they're close range quarters. So if you're in close and you thump and you cut, you thump and you cut, or you thump and you cut, or you double thump and then cut. No. So with the kamas, you know, you have to understand that these things are dual danger. Alright, and explain that because they're so sharp that some people will accidentally cut themselves up trying to do that. So you may forget how long your stems are, and also where you're holding them does help, and it does count, because if you hold them too high and you slip, these parts are supposed to be sharp too, so you wind up impaling your fucking hand. So this is why it's centrally depending also on how long the kama is. These are not standard length. Some kamas are longer, some kamas are shorter, but the ones are longer, they pretty much have a trick to them because they have blades in them, or a disabled blade or a disabled chain that you can wrap around shit. Those are the Japanese ones. So if you have small kamas where your hands are here at the hilt, like right there, none of this is there. You have those tiny kamas. These are the larger kamas. Now the tiny kamas are definitely close quarter combat. If your kama goes from right here to there, you know, like your blade, your butt rather, stops right there. So it's just big enough for your hand to get there. They do have kamas that way. I like to say that they're kid kamas so that you can train a child with them. But most standard kamas are where my hands are. You know, these are like a little longer, but the standard kama, it should be right there to right there, because you don't need both hands to work one kama. And if you do, you may need extra training. Why can't this wave work? Okay, I see you, pretty lady. So anyway, when you're using kamas, you have to understand that they're sharp. And what you can do to your opponent, you can accidentally do to yourself at the same time. So, you know, if you're getting in a gut shot, see how I just went across my knuckle? You could probably cut off the skin of your knuckles, or your entire fucking knuckles, or worse, your hand, when you're using sharp objects. So while you are training, you train with wooden or plastic weapons of training. So your cuts, because see that cut there could be very deadly, and if you see what my knee is, if I miss and come back, I just impaled my knee, you know. So where you hold your weapon also helps in battle. If you are taught to hold them down here, stick with that. If you are taught to hold them in the middle, stick with that. If you are taught to manipulate the weapon as I was taught, where everywhere you know you have to have your hand at a certain time doing a certain swing to manipulate that weapon, then do that. There is no wrong grip because your hand's going to be sealed anyway, but there can be accidental wrong placement of your hand. If you accidentally place your hand in the wrong spot while you're working your kama, you can accidentally take your fucking hand clean the fuck off. So again, I do know they have metal show kamas that are finely painted, but I think they're like safe to play with. I won't say that they're like, they look like the picks for rock climbing, but they're kama. They're still dangerous because the tips are still sharp, but I think that the blades are dull at the top and the bottom so that you can't cut yourself, because you don't want to like be on a show and then whoop, off goes your arm, you know. And they cut really, really clean. The kama cut is really, really clean. So it's almost as clean as a samurai sword. And so you have to be really careful when you're training with them, which is why you train with wooden weapons, you know, or styrofoam or whatever a practice weapon is made of. You train with that. Rubber weapons work great. Plastic weapons work great because they give you the sense of safety, but they also let you know that the design of these damn things are made to fuck you up. Alright? For instance, alright, these kama blades look like a bird's beak, where my actual kama blades are not like this at all. They're thin and they hook all the way around like a hawk's bill. So when you're using them, you don't want to be doing too much of this, and you don't want your hand up here, and you don't want to double whirl them close enough like this, because something like that might happen and off with your index finger. So, you know, when you're training with weapons, you have to be very, very careful. And a weapon is not a toy. A weapon is an extension of your skills if you have been taught properly. If you're out there just fucking around with them, you can kill yourself. You can hurt yourself really fucking badly, and we don't want to see that happen. Now, the thing about these things is that these wooden ones, safe in everyone's hands, dangerous in a real martial artist's hands. Alright? I know. I just pissed off some martial artists. Let me break that down for you. If you are taught properly in any martial art, anything that you touch is guaranteed, bona fide, without a doubt, a part of your skill set. And if not, you have not been taught properly. Alright? So when I pick up a bow staff, I'm not an ace with the son of a bitch, but I could fuck somebody up with it. Alright? Same thing with these wooden kamas. I can still hurt you really bad with these. Same thing with my wooden sabatu and a wooden tanto. I can still fuck you up, you know, because it's wood, but it's also designed sleek. So my wooden sabatu, which is basically an Aikido stick, but not the Shiite, it can still fuck you up. It can still cut you. It can still do all this shit because it's wood. I also tape these things for that very reason, out of fear that I may slip and do some damage. I won't cut myself with these unless I have enough force to, and the right angle is more than likely I won't cut myself. But at the same time, these things are wood, and if I dab into my damn skin, you know, there will be a bruise there, you know, because I'm working hard with these things. I'm not swinging them soft. This is a soft swing. This is a hard swing. Okay? I don't train really soft unless I'm going to do Tai Chi. You know, so those are pretty soft. Now, up to speed. You know. So, you know, you have to know your training method, and you have to know it well so that you don't hurt yourself while training. Now, the thing about kamas, there are some kamas that come like butterfly sabers or butterfly knives, not the Filipino butterfly knife, but the butterfly saber that's the 2-in-1. Lots of people, they're really big. They're about the size of this actually, but without these on the end. So, you know, some of them are made to split. Kamas are the same way. You just have to find the right manufacturer that can do that. You know, back in the 70s and 80s, they made movies about stuff like that. So, you know, they come in, break it apart. You know, but again, if you're going to do martial arts, before you touch any weapons, you really need to be trained on the fundamentals of how bad a weapon can go wrong. All right? This is the other reason why I tell people all the time, you know, this thing's supposed to be part of your skill set. You have to get skills first. All right? Once you get skills, and once you are trained properly, then you can graduate to weapons. All right? Once you graduate to weapons, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different world. But the thing is, you have to graduate to weapons first. And not every weapon is for you. All right? The Sai is my favorite weapon. It's really not for me. Now, the nunchucks, they're my base second weapon. I'm really fair with them. I used to be better. If you see some of my videos on Kung Fu Havoc 2, I used to be way better. The chain, I'm good with the chain. I'm not good with the entire Kenpo chain, which is why I have the practice chain, so that I can get better when I get a hold of the dart chain. Yes, the dart and chain. That the ball and chain that Go-Go uses in Kill Bill, Volume 1. But, you know, the motions are still the same. You know, so once you learn the motions and once you learn how to manipulate the weapon, then you should be practicing with the weapon all the time. Put as much practice into your weapons training as your physical form training. Now, I personally, I'm all about the physical form because I don't walk around with kamas, nunchucks, sais, ball and chain whip, regular chain, samurai sword, katana, Chinese broadsword, Chinese broad saber, the Kwando, the majestic spear. I don't walk around with none of that shit. Have I trained with them? I've only trained with the shit that I named. Also the bow staff. I don't walk around with that shit on the street. I don't even know if that shit's legal to walk around. But I will tell you this as I close out for Kung Fu Havoc number 2 and for Instagram. Your weapons training is important, but your physicality training is far more important than any weapon you will ever train with under the eyes of God. I promise you. As long as you can punch and kick, you got a better chance of surviving a fight versus you come to a fight with a weapon for somebody who's way better than you with that weapon to take that shit from you and totally obliterate your shit. So why would you bring a weapon to a fight for someone to take it from you? Now, if you got a gun, okay, from where I'm standing to where you are, I'm a dead man, all right? Now, I watch a lot of videos on gun defense and shit like that, and I highly recommend that even though you see this shit in the movies, that you don't do it. However, even in the Army, they didn't teach me how to disarm anybody, but sadly, before I got into the Army, I was taught how to disarm people. But, you know, in real life, you have 101,000 factors that can go wrong. One, itchy trigger finger. The guy just wants your money. Give him your money. The guy wants anything but your life. You sneeze, you get shot. That's pretty much how it works. So here's my wallet. Take the shit. Got my credit cards. I can cancel that. I don't even have credit cards. I have a debit account. So if he gets that, he's not getting really far. Plus, I'm broke. So it really doesn't matter if he robs me or not. I have absolutely positively no money. I'm like the worst guy that you can rob anywhere in any state in America or any country. I don't have money. I have absolutely no fucking money. And if I did have money, I'd have to be the guy to authorize it because, one, I don't even remember my code to my account. So if you do rob me, good luck. Because if I don't remember my code, what the hell makes you think I'm going to be able to give it to you? And now that you guys have that on live TV and it's freaking damn YouTube, people know, well, let's not rob James because this dummy doesn't have his account in his head. People panic. People forget. I don't really panic, but I just don't fucking remember my goddamn code. I don't remember my password to the internet. So, yeah. That should tell you, me and technology are not friends. I pay for everything in cash. If I need cash, I don't go to an ATM. I go to the bank the night before. That way, let's say I'm going on a date. And my date wants to go somewhere where I know I'm going to drop a good $100 or $150. I'll go to the bank. I'll pull out $250 and I will pull out big bills. You know, that way I can keep track of that shit. So like, all right, give me 250s or give me 450s because I'll have 450s, which makes 200, and then I'll get an extra 50, which gives me $250. All right, that's a whole paycheck. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I'll have the money on me. I just don't know where I'm going to have the money on me, but I know I'll have the money. So that way, when I go out, and let's just say we're going to the movies. So it's $40 for her, $40 for me, plus popcorn, plus food. So that's probably about $80 spent that night. You know, I meant to say it was $20 a ticket for us both. You know, 20 for her, 20 for me. So that's 40 down, and then depending on how well she eats, you know, there you go. is I don't eat much, you know, and I don't eat like to just fucking eat. I eat to sustain, but I don't like overeat, you know. So I don't buy big meals. Like if they like, you have 12 pieces of chicken, and let's say she wants 12 pieces of chicken for herself, so we'll get 2 orders, and I'll eat maybe 5 or 6 pieces of that chicken, and then if I can take it home, I'll take it home and eat it later, you know. But I won't like splurge on food because I'm not allowed to go over 135 pounds anyway. So I have to maintain a certain weight due to my hip replacement. Plus, I've never been a big eater before I got into the Army. So, and even in the Army, I only ate sandwiches. So go figure. But, you know, with weapons and shit like that, you have the best weapons in your arsenal that are attached to your body. Your hands and your feet. Now, once you get into weapons and you start getting weapons, I want to stop you with the one word that most people who do weapons tend to forget. You get complacent. And by that, you start relying more on your weapon skills than your actual skills. And that can cost you. That can cost you a lot in a fight. So you want to keep your hands and feet your body skills at peak condition. Yeah, you got good weapon skills. You're great. You have nunchucks. You have kamas. You have swords. Yeah. Now you have a big problem because I don't know any other 50 states that allow you to walk around with that shit. Enough said. So that being said, I want to thank you on Instagram for watching. I want to thank you on Kung Fu Havoc number 2. I'll be seeing you if I can find the cursor.